they should be at this meeting today.
I agree. Amen.
Dick Sullivan, Walker Drive. Thank you for saying that, Madam Moderator. As to the question of adding something to help folks with polls, how about something direct, like failure of this article will lose the town? What's the number, 160,000? I don't think that's electioneering. It's valid information, and we should perhaps absolutely do that. Thanks.
This is Tom Barrett at 41 Goffstown Road, and regarding my earlier remarks involving capital reserve funds and the confusion that resulted from them, I think I want to echo Mary's comments on this and just say there should be some explanation to the voters, innocent voters like me that are not up to date on every single issue that comes before the board, as to which of these 11 capital reserve fund issues are most important and what the impact is on them. Unless you're playing inside baseball, you just plain don't know. And my inclination is to vote no if I don't understand exactly what's encompassed in each one of these things. So I thoroughly recommend that we adopt some kind of a procedure that is not electioneering, but is informative to the voters. Thanks.
Mark Meadle on Main Street. Again, I also want to add my support to Mrs. Farwell's comments. I believe there should be, at least for this one as well, it took me a long time as well to understand the impact of impact fees and learning and doing my homework and my research. So for the average citizen who doesn't even understand what impact fees means and how that all operates, I would think a nonpartisan comment here discussing the three-phase process. We're in the last year of a three-phase process would not be harmful, and also perhaps a brief description of what an impact fee is. Also, if I could just respond to Mr. Barrett here, because I was going to come up earlier. As a member of the Budget Committee, I'm always thinking out for the interests of the citizen taxpayers. And as I'm debating whether money is important or not, or what's more important than any of these articles, I think they're all important. Otherwise, we wouldn't be establishing these warrant articles for your personal opinions here to circulate to you to ask for your opinions on these. However, I always look at it when I'm judging something, what is the average citizen going to be saying about this as I'm representing you? And I always focus on need versus want. And I want to stress to you all of that. Everyone who's on these committees, CIP, Budget Committee, Town Council, do we need it or do we want it? Is it a wish list or is it definitely worth spending money for? And so I would urge you to also do the same thing, need versus want. That's what we focus on here. And yes, there's a fine line sometimes whether that's a need or a want, but need is more urgent than a want. That's my perspective. Thank you. Hope that helps.
David Ross, 56 Sherwood Drive. Thank you, Madam Moderator, for allowing this latitude here in this discussion. It's an important one. However, I would strongly urge everyone to remain on the side of caution. That we found it we have a number of citizens willing to quickly point fingers and cast horrible allegations against this town. So anything we can do to protect the town from being sued over electioneering issues, I think is wise. So no, I agree with the lack of commentary. If someone wants to know, they can read the council newsletter, they can read council minutes online. There are plenty of ways to find out which way to vote. I'm sorry. Great, thank you.
David Pearl, 79 Main Street. While I'm all about informing voters of the complexities of impact fees and other things, I think it's very clear what the lawyer said. We have to take guidance from that. To say that if this fails, we won't be able to spend the money wouldn't be accurate, because we could find the money somewhere else to do the study. So there's a lot of things that may seem very simple on the surface that if you put it on there, It would be informative. But I think you have to look at it from a legal standpoint, that there may be other options, there may be other ways. There's not a lot of absolutes in this. So I think we do need to limit that and try to inform citizens via other venues such as this or town council meetings as to why these things are important, but try to keep the ballot to the things we're actually voting on. Thank you.
Pam Auger, 24 Casey Drive. I can't resist this. I could read the minutes online, but it wouldn't tell me anything because you're not going to put anything in the minutes anymore. So that's not very helpful.
Madam Chair, that's been changed, Madam Chair.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, because the discussion at this point is talking about, really, in my mind, three things: planning and looking at the future and the impact of the tax rate. I think here's just so people understand, when we were going, first off, I want to thank the CIP committee for all they did in bringing forth the recommendations. What the council did and what the council does is, those of you that might have been at that meeting, if you recall, there was a big board up, and we had a LCD, and in there we had our finance director actually with the budget line by line. And as we went through and we measured what impact would be on the taxpayer. So you've got an impact. We asked the department heads, and we asked our town administrator to come to us with a budget that was no more than 1%. That was the first call. The second call was, okay, we need to be planning for the future. One of the reasons why I came on the council was I felt that for the exact comments that were made out there was no planning that was being done. And every time the CIP committee worked as hard as they did to put together their recommendations, the things were dropped, and things were taken out, and it was moved around, and therefore we end up with situations where we have to purchase emergency-wise. So penny smart, pound foolish, I think is like, if I got it correctly. So one of the other things that we said when the CIP came forth is keeping in mind, at least from my perspective, keeping in mind we want to plan and we want to look for opportunity for the future so we don't get hit with those types of expenses. We also wanted to limit the amount of money that would hit the tax rate. So you have these warrant articles have an impact on the tax rate. So when you look at everything that came to us, and maybe we did slash in half, and the reason why we did that is because as we made each decision, we were looking at the individual tax implication that would have on the hooks of the taxpayer. So what we tried to do is get to a balance of planning, get to a good budget place, and also look to make sure we could fund the things we need to fund moving forward. And I hope that when I'm gone, that type of thought process continues, and that we will need to fund these CIPs, and we're going to have to do our due diligence. So that's the reason why they were half that night, because we were looking for planning and we were looking at implications on the tax rate. So we got to a good place.
Nancy Comey, 21 Elmer Avenue. Madam Moderator, would we then, on Article 16, and based on what we're talking about with the information at the bottom, would we then, being the amended amount and being focusing on just this article, would we then ask the town council for a new vote to then show them not to 5-4, but because we've changed the article now, is there a way
I believe they're planning to meet after this meeting.
so that could potentially change?
Potentially change the recommendations, so.
Thank you.
Gail Smith, 45 West River Road. Honestly, I've lived here for 16 years. This is the first time I've been able to come to one of these. It's great that minutes are online, but I've looked at minutes previously. And yes, I know we're changing things around, but I've looked at them a year ago, I looked at them 2 weeks ago. I don't learn a lot from your minutes. I can't always go, it's great that, yes, if someone's interested in what the articles are about, they should come to these, you're right. I get postcards in the mail just before voting, look to see who recommends it, who doesn't. That's how I usually vote. I can't go to your meetings because of when you have them. If they're staggered, like, okay, great, Wednesday one month, Tuesday's the next month, then yes, maybe I could go to some of the meetings and find out. But not everyone can, and not everyone can go onto a computer to see your minutes, because not all families have computers. Yes, there's the library, but if you don't have an account or you're computer illiterate, some of the elderly are computer illiterate. So the people that vote, I was running for school board, and I found that of the 400 people that voted, most of them were elderly, or some of them were involved in the schools, and that's it. And people didn't know the three of us from a hole in the wall, honestly. If you don't read the Hooksett Banner, and you don't own a computer, then you don't. Great, I don't want to deal with electioneering, you're right, we don't want to deal with a lawsuit. But is there any way we can put like a board? I mean, I'm going to be standing outside because I'm running again for something else. But is there any way we could put some boards in the hallways or some other way of letting people know? Because, yeah, there's not a big turnout here, but I would like to learn about this stuff before I vote, because it does make a difference, because I do own a home. But if you're one of those people that can't, then there has to be some other way that we can teach these voters, because there is a large turnout on voting day, and I know there is. But if they're not informed, then they're going to be like the gentleman over here, who says if he doesn't know about it, he's going to vote no. And I mean, there has to be some other way we can teach voters about this stuff without pushing it one way or the other. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other comments on Article 16? Seeing none, all in favor of placing Article 16 on the ballot as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving on to Article 17.
Point of order.
Yeah.
We voted on the wrong number. The amendment was the incorrect number. I think we need to re-vote on that.
Sorry. Okay. The amendment, it was my mistake.
Agreed, it's just one recommendation.
Recommendation is to amend the article to read double the amount, so it'd be $24,500. Any discussion on my mistake with the amendment? Perfect. All in favor of amending the amount in Article 16 to 24,500, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Now we'll re-vote on Article 16. Any, all in favor of placing Article 16 as amended on the ballot, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Good, thanks.